All right, this segment is to introduce the Consumer Referral Program, and this is a unique value proposition that's learned at the Todd Duncan Sales Mastery Bootcamp. And this is one of the cornerstone programs that you'll learn about in the bootcamp, where it will give you the tools and the systems to help you drive 5 to 10 closed transactions per year to one of your top agents. And so today, I've got Doug here with me from the Georgetown branch, and we're going to walk through the program. Then you'll see me ask high-trust profiling questions to Doug as a realtor. And then once I learn about Doug's business and what his goals are, that will give me the information I need to then effectively present this program. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay. So Doug, what you see here is the marketing piece that we've developed that you can use when you meet with a realtor one-on-one, or if you meet with a group of realtors. This can be printed out in color, or it can be used on a PowerPoint presentation, particularly if you're presenting to a group. So when you first meet with a realtor, and you're let me kind of flip to the next page here. When you are, getting to know your realtor, you're building rapport, you start to understand their needs, ask them questions about their business. And when you get to the point to making recommendations on, why you should partner together, that's a great time to introduce a program like this, if it's appropriate. So this is in the PowerPoint format. As we go through it, these graphics will populate. But let me just kind of walk you through how this program works. So when you receive a lead from a loan officer, the first thing that you'll always do, of course, is a pre-application consultation. You'll reach out to you'll probably talk to the realtor about that customer. You'll reach out to the client, determine if you can get them qualified. You may issue them a pre-qualification letter, things like that. Once once the contract is executed and we're ready to move forward, the focus still is on making sure that we're getting that loan packaged up, sent into underwriting. I mean, that's our focus, right. So we can make sure we close that loan on time. Once we've done that, that's where I like to say the fun starts, because here we can do what's called an in-process survey and begin the lead multiplier calls. So an in-process survey is simply, you reaching out either by phone or, by email, to your client and asking them about how satisfied they are with the process so far. Because you wouldn't want to proceed with the lead multiplier calls, which I'll get to in just a moment, if you had an unhappy client for any reason. Right. So it's always essential to make sure that the client is happy with where they are, so then you can begin the lead multiplier calls. So you'll see down here at the bottom of this bottom right-hand corner of the screen, with every buyer, there are multiple opportunities for additional lead sources. The HR contact, possibly a local bank or credit union, a CPA, financial advisor. And a great example I like to give is, when you are reviewing tax returns, you can see on those tax returns if that client self-prepares their taxes or if they have a professional. And so if that person, has a professional tax preparer, you can reach out to that CPA and introduce yourself. And we've got a tool that, that will help you do that. I'll show you in just a minute. But when you introduce yourself to that CPA, you kind of talk about the fact you've got a mutual client, you're working with them, on this transaction, and then you can offer them the partner referral program, which is a system that's designed to drive business to a CPA. So in your conversation, or any, anybody on the circle here, really. And so in that conversation, if you determine that this CPA is looking to grow their business, it's somebody you may have a fit in working with, again, you would offer that partner referral program. And then we've got a tracking system where if that CPA at some point down the road sends you a client, that's going to get tracked back to the realtor. So because you'll know that you got to that CPA through a buyer that realtor sent you. And so when that happens, ideally you would route that client, cross-sell that realtor who ultimately got you that CPA. Right. Okay? And so when you make these lead multiplier calls with these applicable, lead opportunities off of every buyer, and you do that consistently, depending upon how many, viable loans that realtor sends you, will drive how many lead multiplier calls you make, and that's how you can drive business back to a realtor. And I'll show you the mechanics about it, and it'll help you see it a little bit more in just a second. But going with that example of that CPA sending you a client, What you would likely do then is determine at what stage that person is in their readiness to buy. So as an example, as you can see in the illustration here, we say that they're gold if they're ready to buy in 4 to 6 months. And what we're saying with this program is that you would commit to make at least a bi-monthly contact with that prospective buyer. And then they would go platinum if they're ready to buy in 0 to 3 months. And then you're in a weekly contact at that point. Okay. And so at each one of those points, you're also cross-selling that agent. And so that's how we can help convert more of those potential buyers into actual buyers over time by cross-selling that agent. So just jumping into the mechanics on how this works. First, you'll see here there is a intake form where we would get that client to give us consent, to reach out to each of those lead multiplier sources. And also, if they leave it blank, that's an opportunity to possibly refer business over to that CPA. In that example I gave you earlier, if they self-prepared, when it's appropriate during or after the transaction, you can always recommend a CPA that you work with, to your clients as well. And when you're driving business to that CPA, then that obviously incents them to drive business back to you.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Then here, we like to give the illustration that one of the ways we make sure that we get all this done is that we time block to make sure that every week that we're calling people that are in our lead management system, and that we're actually making these lead multiplier calls. Because it all sounds great, but if we don't actually prioritize it and schedule it each week, it could not happen, and then the program doesn't work. Okay. We just talked about the lead management system, and you'll see here, this is a great tracking system that we have that's available. And when your realtors see this, it syncs up because you would classify the lead source over here in column B as platinum, gold, silver, or green, which correlates to the graphic that we've seen here. And then you'd point out to the realtor that this is where their name goes in the lead source column. So again, in that example with a CPA, you would tell them that your name as if that CPA gave you somebody, then that realtor's name would go there as the lead source. And then as you're making your regular contacts, that's your reminder to cross-sell that agent at each opportunity.
Great.
And then if you'd like, you can also point out that you've got several best practices which you could customize on your own lead management system of things that you personally do that kind of fits within your personality and how you like to sell to help convert more of those buyers into actual closed transactions over time. So that's how the program works.
Sounds great. Be a lot more organized than what I am now.
Yeah. These are some great tools that can certainly help you and a lot of people take their business to the next level. All right, well, Doug, again, I'm glad you came in today, and I've been looking forward to us kind of talking about how we can partner together. So. Before we kind of jump into that program, the consumer referral program that we talked about before we met today, I wanted just to ask you a few questions just so I can kind of better understand your business and how we really may be able to partner together.
Sure,
would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So let me just start by asking as you think about your business and your goals for the year, what do you really want to accomplish kind of for the balance of 2014?
Well, I'd like to get some more closings in, obviously, make a little more money. Be able to get more leads or more listings or buyers without having to go out and just beat the bush as much.
Okay, perfect. No, that's as I talk to a lot of folks, and they're trying to do that. So I get where you're coming from. Do you and as you think about 2015, what would you like to accomplish next year in terms of the number of units or volume you'd like to do?
Well, I'd like to average probably at least 3 units a month.
Okay.
If I can. I mean, that's pretty lofty. I mean, it's 36 units for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And try to average at least 250,000 per unit.
Per transaction.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 36 for the year. And how many units do you think you're going to do in 2014? I mean, I know we still have some time left in the year.
I'll probably only end up doing about 24, 25.
Okay. So nice. So you're looking to do about a good 40% increase in your business next year. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad we're talking.
Okay.
Because this program definitely may be able to help you do that. And as you approach next year, do you have a business plan that's in place, or do you plan on kind of putting one together as the year closes out?
I'm still going to have to put one together. Trying to work smarter instead of harder.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, Well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, that kind of helps me just get a sense of what you're wanting to do, and maybe how we may be able to partner together. And I'd mentioned to you again before we met today that our consumer referral program is a program that we have that can help drive 5 to 10 closed transactions to you per year. So if you're wanting to get to or from about 25 or so transactions to 35, 36, this could be a big kind of piece to help you close that gap, if not all of it. So let me just kind of jump in and show you how this works. So when you send me a lead, Doug, the first thing that I always do is a pre-application consultation with any client that you give me. At this stage in the process, I'm looking into reviewing their credit, making sure that we can get them qualified. My goal is to make sure that my approval is as good as an underwriter's approval. So when I give you a pre-qualification letter, that's what that person can get qualified for. I mean, that's what I'm focused on. Right. So once we have a contract that's executed and we're ready to go, my focus is getting that loan submitted to underwriting. Absolutely want to make sure that we're not only ready to close that loan on time, but early. Right. So that is still my absolute focus at that point. Once that loan's been submitted to underwriting and we're off to the races, that's where I like to kind of think about it starts to get really fun. So what I do at that point is what I call an in-process survey. Okay. So at that point, Doug, I'm going to reach out to the borrower and just kind of check in on their satisfaction with the service I provided. I want to make sure that the expectations I've set with them and that they've given me, that those have been met, and they're pleased with the communication. That you're pleased, that everybody's in a good place. And once that happens, then I'm ready to do what we call the lead multiplier calls. You kind of see here that off of every buyer, there's multiple opportunities, or multiple lead sources really with every buyer. Mm-hmm. CPA, a bank or credit union, a financial advisor, et cetera. And so to use a CPA as an example, with every loan application I take, I'm going to be reviewing tax returns, and I can see on those tax returns. If they've self-prepared their taxes or, if they've worked with a professional. Okay. So if they've worked with a professional, I'm going to reach out to that CPA and introduce myself and let them know that we have a mutual client, that I'm, reviewing their tax return as part of this transaction. And by the way, I will have gotten that, that buyer's permission. I'm going to show you how I do that, to reach out to that person. So that won't be, a surprise. Yeah. And so then in doing that, I'm going to assess with that CPA, are they somebody that is, looking to grow their business? Are they somebody that, that I would want to refer business to, et cetera? Because if they are, then I've got a program that I can offer them called our partner referral program that's designed to drive business to that CPA. Okay? And when I drive business to that CPA and help teach that CPA how to refer business back, because really a lot just don't do that. When that CPA ultimately refers me somebody, I will track that back to you because I'll know that I got to that CPA through a buyer that you sent me. And I'll show you the mechanics and how I track that in a minute. Okay. But as you can see, there's multiple points of opportunity here off of every particular, off of every person. And again, when I get that lead, what I'll do then is assess their timeline to buy. And so you can see here, I use a lead management system. I consider that a gold lead if they're ready to buy in 4 to 6 months. And then if that's the case, I'm going to be in touch with them twice a month. And I'm going to cross-sell you at every opportunity. And I'll make sure you get in touch with that person as well. So then you can stay in touch with them at whatever frequency you want to. But just know that if they're ready to buy in 4 to 6 months, I'll be reaching out to them at least every 2 weeks and cross-selling you. And they go platinum whenever they're ready to buy in 0 to 3 months. And then I'm in touch weekly. Check on how the house hunting went over the weekend, if they have any questions, and again cross-selling you at each one of those points that I touch base with them. So
sounds good.
Okay, well let me show you the mechanics of how all this is actually put into place. So on this last page here, you'll see this is an example of the intake form that I use, where I capture the information of their HR manager, their CPA, their financial advisor, and I get their written consent to reach out to them. Okay. Then, Doug, and I found this to be very important, I time block my schedule, and I make sure that I've got time blocked every single week to make sure that I'm calling these lead sources in a timely manner. Because if that doesn't happen, then things can get busy, and then, if I don't call these lead sources in a timely manner, we may miss out on business. So, that's something I prioritize to do every single week. Okay. And then in terms of how I manage those leads, I want you to see, this is the lead management system, Doug, that I use here. And so every lead is, the status is set based on their timeline to buy. And then your name goes right here in this lead source column. So again, when that CPA sends me a client, I'm going to enter that client name in here. I'm going to put you as a lead source. So that way I know when I've got time blocked to work these leads, that I remember to cross-sell you every time. Okay. And then I also put a number of best practices in place as well, thank you cards, social media interaction, things like that, to make sure that I, do more than just reach out and say, hey, you're ready to buy yet, to convert those people into buyers. So
It's great tracking, it looks like.
yeah, I think so, and it works for me, and it helps me drive business back to realtors, like yourself, select realtors like yourself I partner with.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions?
No, it's like the organizational part where you can keep track of who sent who what, and then be able to backtrack that. And
Yeah.
give credit.
I think so too.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, good. Well, I'm looking forward to working with you and and really putting this program to work. And it starts when you send me a lead, and then that person goes under contract, because that's when I put the program to work, because that's when I can make those lead multiplier calls. So I'm looking forward to our first one.
Hey, sounds great.
Okay.
All right.